Loading up. Hello, everybody. Hello, everybody. There we go. And we're back. We've got Bill with us tonight, as well as Lorence. So, hi, Bill. Thanks for coming in.
Hello.
We were just talking in the live chat. Bill's getting a little dog, and he's going to make a big, silly, stupid dog channel, aren't you, Bill?
I am. I'm totally gonna. Do you know what? I'm actually gonna send you a. Let's see if this will work. Oh, hang on.
There you go. What type of dog have you decided on? You're getting a wee silly dog. Do you like big dogs?
I am
Lawrence?
sending you a picture over Discord, so you can see the sort of dog that I'm.
That's nice. I thought you were going for like a wee Shih Tzu Pomeranian thing.
It is a Husky Pomeranian cross.
That's a Husky Pomeranian cross. Yeah, no, I like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's definitely better because you were talking about getting's the same as my woman's dog, and it's like a big rat that likes to row with you all the time and can never win any row because he's so tiny. Lawrence, what do you think? Are you a dog fan?
Yeah, I mean, I like dogs. They're fine. I like big dogs.
Yeah.
More than I like small ones.
Yeah, big dogs are best.
I'm more of a cat person though.
Wait a minute.
I just see that, Bill.
right.
There was two of you for a second.
Horrible and evil.
Cats are okay. I like the. Oh, flip me. He's going to just make this annoying. Hold on. He's ruining this because he keeps leaving. We'll just do this. There we go. Back up. I have the scene for 2 people, then a scene for 3 people, and when he pops in and leaves, it freaking changes the size, and then it ruins everything. We'll just use backup. Yeah, a friend of mine's working on a hack for that, which means that even when someone comes in and out, it doesn't change their size and it doesn't change their position, which would be very handy. But anyway, not enough too much technical talk. Yeah, my last dog, I did have to put a German Shepherd down August the 14th last year. I'd had him for 7 years, but he ended up with problems, so I had to put him down. But I have a dog still at the minute.
He was cool.
He was cool. Big goober.
Yeah.
I still have Pot, P-O-T, as my other dog. He's the first dog that I had when I moved out really on my own. I've had him now 16 years in April, and he is Jack Russell cross with a Staffy. He's a tank of a dog. He would only be about 2 foot long. He's about 17 kilo, and he's not fat. He's just pure, solid, absolute tank muscle, and an attitude to go with it.
Yeah, I decided that if I'm gonna spend the money, like you can, because I'm going through a breeder. You can specify color. You can like basically pick your designer dog. So I've decided I'm going to wait a bit longer and get one that is those like browny, orangey, rusty colors, and it's blatantly getting called Jupiter.
Is it?
It so is.
If you get one the same as what you just shown, that is totally Jupiter.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can see your cat in the background now that I've noticed it, man. I thought it looked originally, well, without looking, you would think it's part of the cushion.
Yeah, you'd think.
Yeah, mine's doing the exact same. He's on the cushion of the sofa behind me on top of my cushions as well.
Yeah, he's just sitting back there sleeping, chilling out.
So the Egyptian thing that you're going to do you have an enjoyment of the Egyptians, or is that you're just dipping into it now, or?
No, I definitely like I like Egypt. I like ancient Egypt. It's super interesting. I took a class on Egyptian civilization, and there's a lot of cool stuff that we learned about in there. And it's funny. We were supposed to write a paper for our final project, and I was like, "Hey, what if I made a video?" And she was like, "Yeah, go ahead, make a video." So that's where the I did a video on the ancient Egyptian afterlife. So that's where that came from. That was actually my final project. Did very well on that. In fact, she asked to use it in future classes. I was like, that's awesome to hear. But yeah, I like ancient Egypt. It's pretty cool.
Yeah, no, that's
I think,
a lot of praise as well for the teacher to actually say, this is that good, I'm going to continue to use this for other people. That's better than an A.
I think everyone goes through an ancient Egypt phase at some point, don't they? Like, Everyone does that. Everyone gets that thing of ancient Egypt. It's great.
Yeah, Egypt was class, especially Anunnaki, as you say. It's a very interesting the way he took it down that route.
Pretty sure he had Down syndrome.
He also had a
Well,
point.
I mean,
he was also a pointy-headed alien.
I mean, considering
No, that's why they reckon that he was pointy-headed. They reckon he had some form of Down syndrome.
yeah, I mean, considering how the royal lineage was
Yeah.
kept up, that wouldn't really be too much of a surprise. And the thing is, I didn't really think about this until the class. Tutankhamun, his name was probably, and I'm gonna butcher this, Tutankhaten, because of the 10.
Yes.
So his name was probably originally that.
I've seen that they changed his name. Yeah, the priests took him under their wing and made everything. Yeah, your dad was mad. We're all going back to the way it was. Like.
Yeah.
I did watch a documentary. I can't remember now. I'm not going to say it was on the History Channel, but it definitely wasn't something that I would say quoted papers like yourself. But Tutankhamun's actual tomb, there's an awful lot of problems. Well, not problems, but there's things different about it. When you go in, the mother is supposed to be the left and she's to the right, and you know the way it's actually laid out is strangely laid out. The actual design of it is sort of backwards, and they think that there may be a hidden somewhere else that they're missing.
Yeah, I'm definitely not too sure about that, but it's just great that we were able to find a tomb in such good condition. I mean, that's pretty much the only reason Tutankhamun is famous. He didn't even really do that much. His tomb was in almost perfect condition.
Just now we know, as we discussed earlier in the previous show, Tutankhamun and Anunnaki are directly related. You know, father and son. Was it due to that we found out through him, or there was other wee bits and bobs dotted around, or cause they did try their best to actually wipe him from history?
Yeah, they did that with a lot of pharaohs. I mean, I'm not an Egyptologist. I couldn't tell you all the nitty gritty stuff, but the thing is, they definitely tried to blot out the names of a bunch of people, like Hatshepsut. They scratch her name off of things, and like a woman king. That's a
common thing throughout history, isn't it? I mean, all the way up to today, ISIS are doing that today, trying to erase certain things from history. It's just like something that humans seem to do.
Yeah, well, the history is written by the victors. If I don't like what you said, I'll wipe it out. I'm not I wouldn't say that there's definite belief, and I am 100% sure of this, with, there's definitely an ancient civilization. But there is an awful lot of information that has been lost due to the fact that when the victor takes over, if he doesn't like what you're saying or doing or whatever, we'll just destroy it.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, definitely.
There's definitely a possibility that on the civilization route we could be further down the scale, and not to say we'll be more advanced, this, that and the other, but culturally I think that we'd be more advanced, maybe not technologically, but there's an awful lot of that. If we had contained it, remained with it, or kept it, and had that information in different points of view, I definitely think we'd have turned out differently. Because if every time you wipe something out, you're starting with a dictatorship, so to speak, every single time. It's just a refresh at the start. You don't get a chance to build upon it. Fucked up, and then fix a wee bit, and fuck up, and fix a wee bit more, and get better. Every time you wipe it out, you're starting afresh again.
Yeah, exactly. You can't learn from history if there's no history.
Yeah. Yeah, I did read one time, back to the biblical thing and the history and all that. I know you do the Bible. We were talking about where Jesus came from. I did, I'm sure you've heard of have you heard of the Sea Peoples?
Yeah. I've done a good amount of research on the Sea Peoples. In fact, some of my first couple of pirate videos I talked about the Sea Peoples. Because, I mean, while they weren't overall pirates, there was a group of them that were the Lucans. So most of my research was, mostly to that effect.
Well, on that topic, I think I possibly watched a documentary or a YouTube video or whatever it was that, the Sea Peoples were possibly, the ancestors of the Israelis, they came round, or the Israelites, or whatever you want to call them, the Jews, they came round and landed at the bottom and claimed that land and come up with this. Obviously I'm paraphrasing and shortening it, but was there anything in your research to show that, or
The thing is, it's hard to say
because they vanished, didn't they?
Well, the thing is with migrational history, it's just very difficult to follow it. I actually have a book on the Philistine and Aegean migration at the end of the Late Bronze Age. I have used it once so far for a pirate video, but I'm going to be reading it over again for possible hypotheses for the origins of the patriarchs, for example, because there was an Amorite migration, there was migrations from the north and from Edom and the Negev in general. And I mean, at the end of the Late Bronze Age, or at just the end of the Bronze Age in general, with the collapse of society in general, you're going to be looking to move somewhere else. So it's very difficult to talk about percentages. There are some people who think, for example, that the ancestors of Israelites were just Canaanites.
Yeah.
And I mean, I hold to the view that they were, semi-nomadic. The before they were the Israelites, they were a semi-nomadic group that, depending on the season, they would migrate from the Negev to Israel, and eventually they just stayed in Israel. They're in that land. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
In Canaan, I guess. Yeah. So that's my view, but that's definitely something I'm going to be doing more research on for the upcoming videos.
Well, as a short
considering.
Sorry, go on ahead, Bill.
I was just going to say, considering the history of human migratory patterns and the way that the human populace has travelled across the planet in various different forms throughout history, isn't it ridiculous the amount that people are now trying to put constraints on that and say, oh, no, sorry, we happened to migrate to this piece of land earlier than you did, you can't come in anymore.
Yeah.
It's not ridiculous.
No, I completely agree. And whenever I get into discussions about Israel and Palestine, I always bring that up, that it's completely arbitrary. You're just picking a random point in time and stopping there saying that's the original. I'm like, before that, there were other people there.
But that's what I was pretty much going to say, something very similar to that as well. The fact that the Bible came around and the whole claim to Israel and we are the people and all that, do you think that some of the basis for the reason that the Bible came around was as a justification for, we've been here this long, look, I've got a book that says it?
Yeah. Well, in part, actually, because I hold that the Deuteronomistic history, Joshua through 2 Kings, either, I mean, there's some stuff that was some stuff was post-exilic, some stuff was exilic, even a little bit was, I think, pre-exilic. But, the land claims, for example, in Joshua, I think those are strictly I think that was either exilic or post-exilic as a way to say, here is where we were before, like a cultural memory kind of thing.
What do you mean by exilic?
The exile, the Babylonian exile.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah, that's fine. So I think these works were a way to, I guess maybe it was post-exilic then because, when you're going back to your homeland, you have to know where to go.
Yeah.
And this would, the way the claims are laid out geographically, you would know exactly where to go. So I think that was definitely a part of it, but it has to be taken into consideration that it was for the exile. It was for people coming back from exile.
Do you think that the Egyptian exile happened?
The Exodus?
Yeah, the Exodus.
No, I do not think it happened. There's been a lot of archaeological digs to find something like that, and the issue is that with a group of about 600,000 people, you would expect them to leave some physical evidence.
A wee bit.
We have checked like a plethora of different routes they could have taken, and none of them are turning up any evidence of a migration of that size.
No.
Considering that they were there for 40 years, it doesn't take that long to walk it. They must have got lost, so they probably would have covered the entire thing if they were walking in circles. Like,
yeah, because they went down to Sinai. They went around they would have went around the Red Sea, not through it. So they would have went around down to Sinai and then back up. But yeah, that still wouldn't take, I don't think, 40 years. But either way, it doesn't matter. They should have left way more evidence. So no, I don't think it happened.
do you think that the village or town or whatever it's called of Nazareth existed? I did see something on the possibility of them actually finding a town, a wee Nazarene.
Yeah. Nazareth existed. That's like not even really like, I've seen some really fringe mythicist groups or some mythicist authors write about that, but no, it existed. It was inhabited. Like, yeah, whatever. It's a town. Who cares?
Yeah, no, I'm just covering through topics because I'm basically just getting a yes/no answer question. I'm abusing your brain right now for people that I know that disagree with these topics, and the fact that no, it's okay. Lorence said it. It must be true. Well, again, I want to say thanks to everybody who turned up in the chat, Betsy and all the rest of us. And Johnny, yeah, I assume that you're from over Milwaukee Atheists because he was shouting about owning a t-shirt. So I appreciate you coming over. We do have good chats over here. It's usually fun crack. Crack as an Irish crack, not the CK type, the IC type.
Not that there's anything wrong with the CK type.
All views and opinions are held by the individual themselves. Speaking of individuals, Sammy, are you there at all, man? You've popped in. Oh, he is.
Hello.
Hello, you're in the car as usual.
Yes, I'm sorry. Not for much longer. But I do have a question for Lorence, if you can hear me on my terrible Australian internet.
You're awful.
Yeah,
but
I can
make
kind of hear you very, very lightly, but I can hear you.
Okay, I'll try and speak up. Do you hold to the idea that the Abrahamic God, well, more to the point that the early Jewish people actually worshipped multiple gods, one of which Yahweh was just one of many, and that it was over time that Yahweh first of all pushed the other gods sort of into submission, if you will, and then eventually become the only God to the Abrahamic faith.
Yeah, I get what you're asking. Yeah, I do think that the early Israelite religion was polytheistic, and then it eventually became henotheistic, meaning that they believed in many gods, but held one at the highest, that one being Yahweh, with the other ones just being lesser gods. And then eventually it became monotheistic. Yes, I do hold that view.
Yes, and I think a lot of Christians are under the impression that it was always, that Yahweh was always a monotheistic God.
Right. Yeah, that, I mean, if you are interested in like reading stuff on this, you can read Mark F. Smith's The Origins of Biblical Monotheism. Really good stuff. Pretty dry, but still really good. Let's see, what else is there? Frank Moore Cross's Canaanite Myth and Hebrew Epic, also really good. He talks about how over time Yahweh gained attributes of El and Baal.
Yes.
Yeah, and like in fact, we just recently on Atheist Sunday School we read the Psalm 82, and that was kind of clearly polytheistic. It's God talking to a council of gods, or at least it's the poet at least having this dialogue where God is talking to a council of gods, and Chris Hansen. He's been on our show before. He's originally from Biblical History Skeptics, but he's not really on YouTube anymore. Real good scholar on Job.
It's actually funny
Also,
that you mentioned that, because me and Sammy every Sunday night actually hang out on Biblical History Skeptics channel every Sunday night.
Yeah.
We all hang out. Chris isn't there anymore. Like, Brian runs it. Brian is just wonderful hair and very good fun. He cooked a turkey on stream a couple of months ago.
Yeah, Brian's a good guy. But yeah, Chris did a lot of work on Deuteronomy 32, 8 through 9. I think that was the verses. And I don't know if he's published his paper on that yet, but I know he's working on it.
Yeah, that'll be a good read.
Yeah, definitely.
There's a video out there somewhere, and I can't remember exactly what channel it was on. It may have been something he did with Godless Engineer, or maybe something he did with on the Non Sequitur show. I can't remember. But my jaw was actually...
It's been on both.
Yeah. My jaw was actually sore with laughing because he was arguing with someone, and when it went... Your guy did his bit, and then it went to Chris. Chris did his usual spiel. I'm not using that derogatory, but he said his bit that was scholarly backed up. And before the guy even took a breath to say something, Chris was just grabbing books off the shelf going, "This agrees with me, and this agrees with me, and this agrees with me." Oh man, I was laughing so. He was basically hitting the camera with a book. It was so funny. So
classic Chris fashion. It's great.
He had a good conversation with Aaron Ra too.
That's true. He did.
If you haven't seen that, I recommend having a look, people.
Yeah, I mean because I completely understand. Aaron's positions on the Bible aren't really that scholarly generally. So even I told Aaron, like, hey man, if you're gonna talk about the Bible, at least run it through me. Like, I'm not gonna give you the absolute correct answer, but at least that's like some kind of a filter.
Yeah. No, I'm hoping to meet Aaron. He's one of the speakers. Hi, Peter. He's one of the speakers at DaveCon. We shout out for DaveCon. Anybody in the chat, if you're UK, the 4th of April in London at David something College, we're having a DaveCon. It's being organised by David Worley. Aaron Raz, one of the speakers there. We've got Rationality Rules and a few other UK YouTubers in the scene's going to be there. And yeah, Bill's going.
That's going to be fun.
It's going to be fun.
I am.
That's what we were talking about earlier.
I'm going to make it fun. I assure you, I'm going to make it fun.
Aaron
it's in London, bro. London's my jam.
Yeah, Aaron is such a cool dude. The first time I met him, it was at Gateway to Reason in 2015 in the States here, and a lot of people thought I was his son, which I guess is fair. But we got along really well. He's just a really cool, chill dude. He's been here before, actually, to my place, and he was on our stream in studio. We got really drunk. We went to BD's. It's a Mongolian grill here in town, and it's such good drunk food. It was great.
Yeah, no, looking forward to meeting him. We should hopefully buy the man a pint. It was him, Dark Matter, and Non-Stamp Collector, who I originally found with their edited videos. You know, not that Aaron does more go live now, but back when I originally found him, it was more edited videos. Obviously the evolution stuff that he does through his book, you know, representation of his book. And then the other one, what is it? The Universe Proves God, or God's Proved by the Universe, or something. There was a series in that. Oh, I can't remember what it was. But that he went through this other guy's videos that was proving God and then disproved all that. Peter, we can't hear you.
Oh, sorry.
Now we can.
Still getting used to the Yeti and the mute button.
Ah, yes, belt on.
I'll have to look on my computer. That the series you're referring to is actually okay. Someone wants attention. Is actually a series that Arndt had asked me to mirror for him.
Yeah, it's in my playlist. I have it added in playlists in my own channel. I can't even remember.
It's still somewhere on my computer. He was afraid that he was going to be taken down. It was some ministry that had made an entire series on evidence for God, and he was debunking episode by episode.
Yeah, that's the one.
Let me see. Refuting the irrefutable proof of God.
That's what it is, yes.
Yeah, 19 episodes.
Yeah. That's
And
the
so
series.
they're hidden on our channel, but I've got the entire series mirrored by request with the original descriptions and everything. So,
Lorence, do you know Peter? His channel would be Gonna Go For It.
I don't think we've met before. Hi, Lorence.
We have not. Hello.
Oh. No, and I need to apologize because I missed the entire stream you had before. So, and I had a question, and maybe that was already answered.
But go on.
So Millwakie Atheists, what is your focus? Are you more on building a community for atheists, or is it also an outreach to people who are still theists?
I guess it's both, because what I really want to do is I want to bring something to the atheist community that I don't really see a lot. Like, I don't really see that many atheists, reading the biblical scholarship, and you don't have to be a biblical scholar to be an atheist, or you don't have to, you can still be a good atheist and not be a biblical scholar. Like, that's fine.
Mm-hmm.
But I want to be able to at least not necessarily take like a middle position, but at least meet in the middle. So I think if you are set on, convincing people that, Christianity is wrong, for example, then you should at least know what you're talking about when it comes to the Bible. You don't have to, be an expert on Hebrew or Greek, but at least have, some basis, some knowledge.
Have some background information.
Yeah.
I fully agree, and I also think that, so when it comes to the U.S., Christianity is probably the main religion. So having some knowledge about that is probably really beneficial. You don't know our. Come on, this is not going to work. I'm talking. Our channel, I started our channel basically to talk to theists. And if you're going to do that, a basic knowledge of the Bible is preferable. But you're also going to run into to maybe strawman people. That's why I usually ask the people when they come on the first show, what do you believe and why, and take it from there, rather than assuming, well, this is what the Bible says, so obviously you must relate to that. Yesterday we had a guy on who pretty much stated that he makes his own choice on what he takes from the Bible. He only takes the good things from the Bible and leaves the bad things. To me, then you might as well be an atheist, because that's what we do. And not because it's written in the Bible, but because there are good things to do and bad things to do. And it doesn't matter if a book wrote about it. We have, our morality has evolved over time. And that's what we use as a basis for how we live our life and how we treat people. So what I do miss a lot in the American atheist movement is an outreach specifically to theist people. So the ACA has started the atheist experience, which to my knowledge still is one of few real organizations that are doing that. And I think you could use a few more, but that's my opinion. I come from an 80% atheist country, So some things are hard to relate to, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, definitely. The U.S. is just so divided on this stuff, or just on all stuff in general, if we're being honest. Like, the thing is, when it comes to, there are few people that I would genuinely want to have on that are theists, that are in the, the community, I guess, the debate community, whatever you want to call it. And they're generally people that you don't really hear the same stuff from, because when it comes to your run-of-the-mill apologists, it's all the same stuff rehashed over and over again, and I'm just sick of that. If somebody else wants to deal with it, somebody else wants to talk about it, fine, go ahead, that's your prerogative. But for example, Rob Rowe from Sentinel Apologetics, that is I have plenty of disagreements with him, but he respects the scholarship. He will hear you out. He will not strawman you, and that's something I really respect. And I respect his endeavor in general. So even if I disagree with his conclusions, it doesn't matter, because he is an honest actor. And I really hope that when it comes to talking about the Bible, we can all be honest actors. For Christians, I hope they do a little bit of background work and gain some knowledge on these texts, their historical context, maybe some textual history, and I would like atheists to do the same if we're going to honestly talk about the Bible.
Yeah, that's it. I think I would agree fully with everything you said, but at times I just get the idea that there now is a big atheist echo chamber, and sorry, MathPig, I'm not trying to criticize you.
Yes, there is.
There is an echo chamber. I'm trying to break out of it. Yes.
Yeah. So and it's really hard, because we try to have on theists, just ordinary people I meet on Twitter, and have a conversation.
There's no ordinary
it's
people.
It's not about winning an argument. Our show yesterday was I thought it was going to be a dumpster fire, because it was my response to a video where someone was raging about me, and I called them out on Twitter and said, well, let's talk. And I warned people. MathPig can.
Yeah, it went quite well.
Probably.
I watched it. Yeah, it went quite well.
Yeah,
One with Craig Reed.
I warned people. This is going to be a dumpster fire. This is not going to be nice. And it turned out to be, I think, one of the best conversations we've had on the channel.
Craig Reed can be quite respectful when you're having a conversation with him. Shout out for Nathan Ormond as well. Nathan Ormond would have a lot of chats with Craig Reed. They're always very good.
Yeah. So. But it's hard to get on theist guests, even apologists. They're for some reason they're afraid to talk, or don't want to talk, or just want to be in their own echo chamber, which I think for them is fine. I don't think atheists should be doing the same thing. I do know that in the US there's the need for building a community that will replace the community that you have left, because in the US, community pretty much all revolves around the church that you're in. Here in Europe, that's completely different. Communities are built around sharing the liking for a particular sport, or for particular events, or music, or whatever, but not a religion, not even atheism. Before I started my channel, I never identified as an atheist, because the label holds to me at as much worth as labeling myself an Santa Clausist. I was raised that way. People around me do not believe in a God. Churches are closing pretty much weekly, if not daily, here in Holland, because people no longer believe.
Oh, actually, sorry to interrupt. My girlfriend is actually from Holland, so that's just interesting
Oh.
that you're there.
I
Oh,
think
can I ask? Can I ask where? You don't have to name a city, but
I
East,
have
West?
I have no idea. I just know that she's from Holland.
he didn't
Shame
even.
on you! You should know the background of your own girlfriend. Come
Peter,
on.
this is
I
funny,
probably
right?
should. I just know that she's from Holland. She's lived in the States for most of her life, anyways.
Considering this, Peter, right? We were actually doing this show earlier. Lawrence's background is all the history of the Bible, and all that crack. And if I'm wrong, Lawrence, correct me here. He was raised a Jew, didn't go through his bar mitzvah, all that crack. Went down the route of checking the Bible and behind him, and only recently found out that his girlfriend's an ordained rabbi.
Yeah.
I used to have some friends in Groningen, which is like northeast, I think, isn't it? Northeast of the Netherlands, Groningen. I'm pretty sure.
That's literally from where I live, straight north. It's not too far away, but it's the worst connection you're gonna have. It's actually
on the German
where
border, isn't it?
Google has a headquarters.
Yeah, my friend was telling me it's close to the German border, and they always used to go to Germany to buy their cars.
Yeah. I'm even closer to Germany because half of my backyard is Germany. So
Awesome.
How does that work for land rights?
I can't get to my house by car unless I cross the border into Germany and then drive back to my house. There's no road in Holland that leads to my house.
Yeah, I tend to get on quite well with Dutch people. I like the bluntness, even though it took me a while to get used to it. I like the fact that they're really blunt and straightforward. Like, what you see is what you get, and if they want to say something, they're just going to say it. They're not going to imply it. They're just going to go, "This is how it is," straight out.
And so, but that is a trait that I would say is more the eastern part of the country, and from top to bottom. All those people will just be straightforward and blunt, especially in the region where I'm from, which might explain a lot about me as I come across on the internet, because that's who I am. Don't hide. Just say what you think, and not to start an argument, but to make sure that we're all on the same level, that we know we're not going to talk behind your back. If I got a beef with you, I'll come to you. Yeah. And I'm not going to start all kinds of weird circles to get to you.
Yeah, well, that's back to the original point. That's what we're trying to do here, is reach out to everybody in the community that, otherwise other people are welcome to come in from the different atheist and skeptic community and theist community. But I want to reach out to everybody that has, like Lawrence, I think, has a niche, and bring him to the forefront. There's people in the chat who have not known who Millwakie Atheists is, and we forget when we're on YouTube, it's not like television. It's not there's 20 channels, and when they're flicking through the channel, everybody sees the other 19 and then stops on one. YouTube can be very claustrophobic, it can be very small-sided, and unless someone actually points out a channel to you or points out that information to you, you won't see it. Claustrophobic's the wrong word. But you won't know of them. So I'm trying to bring people who have in the community that have these abilities and these skills, and we can all have these conversations then across borders and try and break out from that echo chamber. I hate the fucking scripts that both Christians and atheists use. We discussed this earlier, Peter, on the first stream. I'll call both people out. It's not worth it. Just out of curiosity, if you want to address that, Lawrence, you can real quick. The chat.
Sorry. Yeah. So we used to work with This Is Millwakie years ago. We don't anymore. After we had the conference with Sargon and Thomas Smith and whatnot, after that conference, we cut ties. We were just not interested in working with them anymore. So that's a condensed history of our working with Mrs. Milwaukee, but we are not Mrs. Milwaukee. We were always separate organizations, and we were working together for a time.
I think you did mention, is that the organization you were talking to about at the start?
Yeah.
Yeah. And then you said that you moved on from them. Yeah, you did mention that.
Yeah.
So also,
Those are the people who run MythCon?
Yes, they are.
Yeah, see, okay.
You know, people that
you said earlier, Lorence, that you have an interest in piracy, and I think you mentioned where it came from, but I didn't quite catch it.
Oh, yeah, it was from listening to Ailstorm, and then and then watching the Pirates of the Caribbean movies, and then just thinking, what were the real ones like? So that was very enlightening, very interesting.
Yeah, I literally live in what I refer to as pirate country.
You live
obviously,
in
when I'm
pirate
on YouTube, I speak in a very flat accent. But if you hear me speaking to local people, I speak like a cross between. Well, some people from outside say we speak like a cross between farmers and pirates. But the truth is that pirates, at least in their classical accent, speak like us. Because most of like the famous ones, Blackbeard and such, were from our part of the country, from like around the city of Bristol and all that sort of the West Country.
I don't know which actor it was. They had a specific actor who set the tone for the Hollywood pirate accent, and that's where the whole thing came from. It is literally a British accent.
Yeah, it's a West Country accent.
Yeah,
it's totally a West Country accent.
Go on ahead there, Lorence. Say what you were going to say. You unmuted and then muted again. Go on ahead.
I was just going to add on to that, saying that this kind of idea we get about pirate language, how it's broken up and stuff like that. That's mostly just how sailors talked in general.
On that topic of how they spoke and stuff, there's a guy in the community, and he's looking me to do. He has a character for a voiceover that he's doing, but he wants me to. It's an Irish pirate that he's aiming for, and he thinks that I sound very piratey, and wants me to say a few phrases that he can work off. I don't think I sound piratey at all. As a pirate expert, your opinion?
No. So I think you need to do that. You're talking about Johnny Drive-By. He's also asked me to do a Danish accent, which is kind of weird because I'm from Holland. But I'm going to play a Danish character in one of his little cartoons. So I'm looking forward to that. Johnny's a great guy.
Yeah. Going through some hard times at the minute. I think he had to put his dog down yesterday or the day before.
Yeah. Yeah.
Sucks.
Which caused me to break up a bit yesterday. But it's all good.
No, so I know we've only got Lorence for a wee while. So Lorence, if there's anything you want to add that you think's poignant, anything as I say, we're mentioning the community and trying to build anything. You've said that you're welcome if anyone wants to reach out and get a list of books or anything on a topic. They're willing to do that. You're willing to help, yeah.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, if you want some recommendations for whatever topics I'm interested in, you can just feel free to email me, MilwaukeeAtheists@gmail.com. Other than that, I did my shilling. I'm good.
Yeah, I'll add you to the Twitter group, which I'd always post the link to the after parties in the Twitter group. So, if you see it, you're welcome to jump on, and we definitely would appreciate your input. But you know more of this topic than everyone.
I do have one last question.
Go on ahead.
Sure.
Are there any things you think the atheist community could improve on, and what are they, and why do you think they could improve on them?
At least for me, I think if they, I think it would be a lot more productive if they didn't approach discussions with Christians with as much vitriol as I usually see, or as you saw in old days of YouTube kind of stuff. It was very cutthroat. So I think it would just be productive to try to steel man somebody instead of straw manning them.
Yeah.
Instead of having a script, you listen to somebody and their opinions honestly, and then give your honest thoughts. Also, just stop. I mean, this is more because it's personal to me, but stop misrepresenting the Bible. You don't have to do that. You got a whole bunch of other ammo. You can talk about a whole bunch of other stuff. You don't need to say like, the Council of Nicaea created the Bible and they invented Jesus. And you don't have to say Lilith was the first wife of Adam. Like that was, and somehow Lilith was edited out of the Bible. Like things that are
careful. Lilith is my co-host.
He has a co-host called Lilith. Yeah. I think the actual thumbnail I used for that.
He got the name from the character.
Yeah. It's definitely a character in Hebrew, but
the thumbnail that I used for that, I'm nearly sure I seen in one of the Millwakie Athiests video on Lilith. I'm nearly sure I used that thumbnail, one of their shots for the thumbnail I had of the interview with Lilith.
I did a lot of work into Lilith.
I fully agree with you on that. You will never see me use the term religiotard or creatard. I think if you're going to do that, you're going to alienate the people you want to reach.
Yep.
I'm literally on here because I stumbled onto Kent Hovind in one of his videos. 100 Reasons Why Evolution is Stupid. It's a title that is engraved in my mind. The video, a lot of it I know by heart. That's why I started my Twitter account and later the YouTube channel, because I thought if there are actually people buying this, then there needs to be a counter sound to that, and try and make people aware of how incredibly stupid some of the things are, and how just a little bit of education will help you show why they are stupid. And you should, I think a lot of theists are raised in a way where there's an authority figure, which is the guy preaching in church, and you just sit down and you believe every single word that comes out of his mouth and take it as gospel. And I think that's harming education as a whole, but especially in the US. Because it is how people are raised to think. And
exactly.
The American education system.
And that's a hard one to break.
The
I think
the education system below university level is garbage, though, isn't it? Let's be honest. Your university level education system is great, but below that, it's an absolute pile of shit. I suppose that does vary from state to state, but in general,
it definitely varies from state to state. But I think at least for maybe this should even be part of a high school curriculum, but at least for college, I think philosophy 101 should just be mandatory.
Yep.
Like I don't think you should be taught how to think, you shouldn't be taught what to think, but you should be taught how to think.
Yeah, put Logic 101 in there as well.
Yeah. So I think when it comes to these discussions, and like even if there's something that we know that we're right about, like even if like I was talking about in the show, if all the evidence goes towards evolution, the way to get to someone is you can present them with the evidence and you can talk through it with them, but you let them reach the conclusion, because it is a lot more satisfying for a person to reach a conclusion on their own. You make them realize it. Yeah. You don't bash it over their heads. You just give them enough information so that they realize it.
I had this conversation with a teacher's assistant not too long ago, and we were talking about the education, because I have an awful lot of hatred for it. I don't learn like the normal person learns. So not to say that I felt that the education system failed me, but I could be doing more with myself than what I did now. I'm not going to pump my own self up, but I'm a troll with a brain. And when it comes down to the education system, say when I had this conversation with the teacher's assistant, all the information in the world now is at a child's fingertips. The average age for a kid now in the UK to get a mobile phone is 7 to 8, which is insane. But that's just the way it is. And they want to keep, the parents want to keep track of them and back and forth anyway. All the information is at their fingertips. A teacher can say something and they can go on their lunch break and then find out the next level, the college level, the university level, find out the teacher's wrong and then go in and have an argument with them. You know, they need to be taught to tell the difference between what is real, what is not real, how to think, as you say, Lorence, rather than what to think. And the education system, I think, is based on here's information, now regurgitate it, and the fact that there's fake news and fake information and all that out there. If somebody with authority in their opinion says it, then they take it as gospel. Same as if a teacher says it, same as if their parent says it. And they need to be taught to tell the difference, to research, to be skeptical, to be logical, to think, as you say, with some philosophy, to think these ways and find out the information for themselves rather than just take it as what they've been told. Rant over.
I just thought of another question that I wanted to ask Lorence. Seeing what you stated earlier and the fact that you say there's somewhat of a Jewish background, what's your take on Francesca Stavropoulou?
You know, I enjoy her work from what I've read. I am actually going to use actually not even 5 feet away from me, I have her book on religious diversity in ancient Israel and Judah, and then I have a book on what's the other one called that I've got to read. Was it something about land claims? I forget the full title, but it's about it's about Israelite land claims and I think ancestor veneration in general. I'm going to be reading through that for the history
about the land claims, the quote unquote historic land claims derived from what the Bible or the Torah says about Israel. Is that the one you're referring to?
I think so. Yeah, I forget the name of it.
Yeah, I don't know the title either. But so she's one of my favorite Bible scholars. Because of her passion for the book, she makes it known to everyone that she's a Bible scholar, not because she hates the book or hates religion, because she's fascinated with the book itself. And she does point out several good things about the Bible, several good things on how the Bible has influenced society, because they're there. It's obvious they're there. And you can be an atheist and you can be vehemently anti-theist, but religion has brought forth some good things as well. You cannot deny that, and that's why I think I respect what she's saying. She's, I think, one of Richard Dawkins' biggest enemies when it comes to that. But I love to hear her talk, her speeches, the way she talks. She's often criticized that she gets the attention because she is a good-looking woman, which infuriates me every single time I see it.
Here's the thing: I have never seen her. I have no idea what she looks like. I read her work and I go based off of that. And from what I've read, good one.
I can't deny that she is a good-looking woman, but that has nothing to do with her credentials. She also has what I think is charisma. When she talks, you will listen. You just will. There's no way you can't. And she's got a couple of documentaries that I don't know if you seen those.
No, I've just read her work. I tend not to really watch a lot of media on this because I feel like if I do watch stuff on it, it's going to influence the way I produce a work, and I don't want it to be like, you know,
Well, it
derivative.
lines up with what you do. So her documentaries are about the Bible, and she will research a certain point.
Sure. I mean, I understand, you know, the use
either
of
the Bible.
Yeah, just
Yeah.
let Lawrence finish.
Yeah,
Just
but-
let Lawrence
but-
finish.
Yeah, I understand the use
Yeah.
of documentaries, but it's I just don't tend to watch them because I assume that the stuff in the documentary is already written in her books, somewhere in her books. So I am going, and you can go into much more detail in books. So I prefer that
Yep.
over other
Like
forms of media.
The documentary would be second source. The papers would be first source.
Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah, I agree. But so one of my favorites is the documentary about Asherah. Did God have a wife? Her way of showing how she does the research, and she can write about that in the book, but if you can actually watch her doing it, travel to different locations, talking to different people about the topic, doing the actual research, and just having a camera follow her while she's doing it, I still think that adds to the book, because there's some things you cannot do in a book. You cannot post a conversation. You could transcript a conversation, but you won't have people's body language. You
Yeah.
won't have.
I hate texts. So I just
Go
say,
ahead.
did you ever try and have a serious conversation, or if, say for talk's sake, you're having a text conversation with someone and it goes the wrong route. Maybe you say something or they say something, and you say something in text form. As you say, when you read a transcript, text form is the worst possible way to try and sort an argument. Get into a VC, phone the person, stand in front of them, because, as you say, Peter, it's down to the context of how you speak. It's down to your body language. There's so much more to take into context. Yeah. And like my woman will try and have, if you know, we don't have that many rows because we've got to that point where we can talk about a lot of things. But when you're having that row with your girlfriend and she's trying to sort it out in a text form, it's like, no, I'm either going to phone you and you're going to talk to me over the phone, or we're not going to talk about this to her in person. Because a text form, you'll talk for 2 hours to convey something that would take 2 minutes in a VC, and a hell of a lot easier.
Exactly.
It's like, no, I'm not doing
Exactly.
this. I've hung up on the girlfriend when she's tried to, you know, it's like, no, I'm not doing that. It's just, I'm stopping talking to you now until we can see each other, because it's just not worthwhile. It'll keep the argument going for longer unnecessarily. And it's just better. I find, like right now, grateful to Jesus. You're in text form, you're having the chat, you're doing your thing. I've told people not to time you out. You haven't proselytized, you put your point across, and you're more than welcome to come onto the channel. I will dedicate an entire show to yourself. Peter, I'm sure, will also give you a platform.
I see grateful to Jesus in a discussion with Artemis Brain Sample. Adi is one of the hosts on our channel. So grateful to Jesus. Why don't you come on with Artie and talk about this? Because the side chat is something people won't look to when they're going to watch the show.
The side chat's coming up right across your face now, Peter. The fact that I've had critical, the side chat's scrolling up in your face. But yes, this is another reason why I had this channel. VC or text is no good. You can't have a conversation with someone. You want to put your point across. You want to show people who you are. And this is me. Like, I don't know, my camera might break. I've tried to do this 2 or 3 times tonight, but this is me, okay? I don't care. You want to have a conversation?
I still think should be the standard setting, because we already got the floating head there.
Although we lost color.
I'm not showing my face today. My beard looks like shit still.
I've got a beard. That's a terrible reason to show my face.
I mean, my entire face looks shit. I show myself. What?
Oh yeah, no. We're working on the camera. We're working on the camera, man. My next birthday, next Christmas, something like that. Yeah, I have a birthday party for fucking 14.
Next Christmas.
I have a birthday party for 14
Christmas.
toddlers on the end of this month, and at least 8 of them I don't want there. And I have to pay a tenner a head for my wee girl's birthday to have these people there. So, yeah. No, maybe next month. Oh, we've got Bill and his beautiful beard.
That's my quick beard shot. That's all you're getting.
That's not a terrible beard. Why is that a terrible beard?
Sorry, Lawrence, we are completely
mess.
diverging. We're completely diverging from the topic. Do you have a
can do
favorite
it.
pirate? Just before you go, so I can squeeze it in. Do you have a favorite pirate? And we're not counting Blackbeard.
I wouldn't even put Blackbeard in the running for that.
That's quite a good beard still.
I would have to say it's either. I have to say, no, you know what? I'm gonna go with Sam Bellamy. It's Sam Bellamy.
Sam Bellamy.
Yeah.
Is there an Irish pirate?
Calico.
Bill
Mine's
did
blatantly
mention
Calico Jack Rackham. For sure, it's
yeah.
Calico Jack Rackham.
Calico Jack is that's a fun guy right there.
Is there an Irish pirate that I should be proud of?
I guess.
Well,
what's
Anne
her
Bonny.
name?
And the other one mentioned earlier.
I see
Grace
you in the
O'Malley.
chat.
I think her name is Grace O'Malley.
Yeah.
Grace O'Malley. So if I want to emulate to be an Irish pirate, I have to emulate a woman. Okay.
Essentially.
And not that there's anything wrong with that. No, I said that very derogatory. I didn't mean that. Well, I'm going to give you a window here, Lawrence, because I know that you've been down to get out. And you've given us over an hour. You said you would stay for at least 15 minutes. So I'm going to give you a window if you need to do things, or we'll drag you out for another couple hours.
No, I should honestly probably head out.
I really do appreciate you coming in, man. And if anyone hasn't checked them out, the links are all in the description. Go back, even what's coming forward, go look in the man's back catalogue. There's so much information there. There's so much knowledge. You can definitely learn from what Lawrence has taken the time. And as he says, it's not an overnight thing that takes to make a movie or to make a video. He puts time and effort, and there's at least
stuff.
There's a lot of stuff goes into them. There is an awful lot of stuff that goes into them. So, Lawrence, thank you very much. I really do appreciate it. And I hope this is the start of we can go back and forth a wee bit more and chat. And I look forward to talking to you in the future.
Yeah. Thanks for having me on, man. Appreciate it.
Definitely.
I will see everybody later.
Yeah, good talking to you. Catch you again some other time.
See you.
Nice meeting you, Lawrence. Hope we'll bump into each other.
Yeah, everybody should definitely check out the man's channel. There's, I think, 3 or 4 of them in total. The Seance one, I did watch half of it. It was fucking hilarious, man. A bunch of atheists actually trying to summon a demon. Did you notice that, Peter?
Did you notice the floating head?
Oh, yeah. Did he fall off his ball again?
I'm not on my ball. I'm not allowed to be on my ball.
Why are you black and white? Is it better? Is it lower quality? Keeps the bandwidth down?
No. Oh shit! I'm going to be in trouble.
He's having issues with his
I'll be back
clothing
in a minute.
going up.
Okay. Oh, he'll be back in a minute. No, well, Peter, thanks for jumping on, man. I appreciate that.
Yeah, I missed the initial conversation. I've pulled it up, so I'll go and watch that later, because I was watching someone else, and after that grabbed something to eat and then saw, hey, got a notification. Whoops.
Oh no, cool, man. Yeah, no, it's cool. I appreciate turning up at all. Even any time is worthwhile. Like, I think from your conversation you had with Lawrence about the echo chambers, the fact that you don't like echo chambers, and the fact that you have been, in my opinion, starting to become a wee bit of a regular, I take that as a compliment.
Well, so what I got from you is what you're trying to do here is draw in all kinds of people. And so I wouldn't consider this an echo chamber. You had Darth Dawkins on.
Which, Peter, I don't know if you noticed. Well, you obviously didn't notice, but if nobody has watched it, go and watch it, man. Go and watch it, because just from a pure YouTube analytics point of view, I hit over 400 views in that video. That is my most watched video ever. I have never even hit 300 views, and it has hit 400 views. So everybody, thank you very much for watching it. We are in the process of sorting out.
Just from a pure comedy standpoint of view, go watch it.
Yeah. Per Darth did not have a script for Richard.
Putting him up against Richard, that was maybe it's not intended to be, but it was comedy gold.
Oh no, it was. I knew that
you got one raging guy here, and then the epitome of calm on the other side, who's completely unfazed by every insult thrown at him. Not even bothered to give the sources of his claims. If he made a claim about the Bible, hey, you got a Bible? Go look it up. You have Google. Go look it up. I thought that was hilarious. That was just great.
I know, and then when he refuses to look it up, Richard comes back with, "Look, see, you knew of 30 examples. You didn't even have to look it up."
See?
Oh,
and the fact that he was telling Richard to shut up when he's talking, and then the moment Richard starts talking, he starts talking over him, and Richard just said, "What you just asked me to not talk over you? Is that what you asked?" Just reminding him slightly.
Grateful has now descended into proselytizing because sorry to interrupt, but they can't provide any evidence for their claims.
Well, that's
so
okay. If people in the chat want to have that chat, I'm not going to time the man out. If he wants to come on, I would more appreciate, as we discussed, coming on and being VC.
That's it.
Coming on being a video. We have 2 spare slots, and
2 seconds. Rory has asked the question to me, but what do you think of the Alabama lawmakers' proposal bill that should make mandatory vasectomies for men over 50 or who have 3 children, whichever earlier?
What is your opinion specifically in that, or what is our opinion?
I don't know. Well, in general, I was asking it to everybody, given that he asked the question. It's quite interesting. If it is as he has given, and I haven't looked, right, I'm all for it.
Oh yeah, well, there's videos out there of me being quite extreme. I think that the population is got completely out of control, and not to go into the nuances and all of it, but we've had a discussion back and forth offline. And I'm not going to put my stance across because I'll get fucking badly viewed. But population control is definitely where is the button? Hold on, there's a button here. Ding.
Oh, I think having a child should be a decision.
Yes, like don't get me wrong.
Decision.
Yeah. Well, it should be a conscious decision, Dave. Don't get me wrong. My wee girl is what could be referred to as an accident. You know the story. I wasn't long into meeting my own, but I was in that mindset from the previous relationship for at least 10 years. I want a baby. I want a baby. I want a baby. You know, it just... I personally was in that mindset.
I kind of don't think it's entirely fair to restrict people having children based on financial resources, though.
No, neither do I. This is the problem. The problem I've got is I don't think
that's fair.
Solution. Are we back unmuted?
Oh yes, I just muted my opinion to be completely biased.
Oh, you're so great. Right. I think the problem we've got is there is no viable solution that we have that is not going to be used to discriminate.
Yep.
Based on financial or based upon whatever a particular group at any time thinks is undesirable.
You said your opinion a bit more nicer than me, and I actually stated one of the things that you could be. Yeah.
Right. And this is the problem I've got. I'm like when he talks about the Alabama bill. The theory behind it, the principle behind it, I'm behind that. Whether or not I think that could actually be fairly implemented. See, I think anyone that's got any money will make sure that it never applies to them. They'll get to 50, they'll move outside of Alabama. They'll get to 50, they will pay a doctor to say that they've done it.
Yeah, it's definitely possible in America.
I think the level, I can't see a way of not being able of making it so you can't be discriminated against. And then I can't see a way of making life meaningless versus a very innate biological urge.
At the end of the day, though, there does have to be, like, I've seen statistics and papers or whatever the fuck you want to call it, that the way population growth, it's obviously, you know, goes up, goes down, because you've got very little people, then the food ability goes up, so you get more people and that there, and then medical sense, then you reach a point and then you level off and that. And the next sort of leveling off event for the population of the Earth is expected to be 11.5 billion people. It's already
At the end of the day, that's not a
now.
problem. Again,
No.
the problem you've got there, that's not a problem.
Yeah, we're stretched at the minute.
No, we're stretched because of other policy. This is the thing, right? You don't need to have population control if you do other things. That's going to sound really complicated.
I understand what you're saying but from the way that the actual system is set up in most of the Western...
reasonable.
Yeah, but the way that the system is set up in most of the Western cities...
If you do other things, you won't get any children.
No.
No, the point I'm trying to make is...
My brain is wired.
No, you're right.
It's wired
if I can just say this,
primary education in school should be about anal sex. And you don't teach kids about normal sex until they hit their 20s.
What?
And for people who do not know what Dave is talking about, they should go on YouTube and type into YouTube Garfunkel and Oates, The Loophole. Go watch that.
I completely agree. It's a fantastic. Right. My point being, MathPig, if you weren't paying attention to the flow of the conversation.
Go on ahead.
What Peter was suggesting, we should teach people other things.
Yes. I know, but whenever you said they should go straight for the anal sex, I remember reading something in a newspaper where a bunch of Christian kids started doing things to their ears and stuff like that. And Yes.
Well, I don't know whether it's real. I know that it was there was a South Park episode and something else as well.
Yes, there's something out there. I remember.
No, Family Guy. Because it's there. Because once you go black, you go deaf.
Yeah, it was something to do. You know, it's in the peripheral vision of the internet. Okay, there was some, and that's where my fucked up mind went. All right. But I do agree with you. It should be down more to better education. But the point I'm trying to say...
This is really irrelevant.
Let me just say the fucking thing that I wanted to say before you said your thing, right?
But it's of a distraction. It's of...
So what I was trying to say was... I've lost it now.
Did you just kick him?
No. It's easier.
What are you doing?
Right. Education. Yes. Education and other ways to maintain a better population growth is better going forward. I 100% agree with you on that. But the problem is if you implement it in the morning to 11-year-olds, 12-year-olds, 13-year-olds, whatever age, the generation of 16 to 17 that's out there being promiscuous, doing all the things that have missed out on it is already screwed. You 15, 20 years, well, maybe 3 or 4 generations there of people who are completely missing out on that education. The point I'm trying to say is it's easier for them people now who are having babies. It's easier to implement a population control than it would be, as you say, when you hit a certain age, vasectomies and all that crack, and limit kids to a certain amount up until whichever happens first. It's easier now to implement that straight away with education in the back coming forward for the next generation.
The problem is the solution we can implement now is basically unthinkable to most of the world.
If you say line them up, shoot them all, and let God sort them out, I'm kicking you again.
You need to teach girls about their body, that their body belongs to them. You need to teach them about masturbation. You need to teach them that they can do it themselves, that they don't need, and by the time they get with a man, they know their body.
Oh yes, education is key. Yeah, it's totally taboo. Sex education. We're not going to discuss the age limit in sex education because there is back and forth, and there was the whole thing in Birmingham there quite recently, and there were certain points of that back and forth that I did agree with, certain points I didn't. I did look into it, and then they were actually blowing them. They were blowing it all out of proportion. I do agree with that.
They always do.
As they do, man. As they do.
The problem is, the stuff in Birmingham was all based around the fact that they were saying that homosexuals exist. They have a right to exist.
Oh, yes. It was the sex education of a limit. When it first caught my eye, it was like, we're teaching sex education to such and such an age.
We're teaching them how to do doggy style and reverse cowgirl and fucking...
Exactly. And it also came in... Dave must be drinking. I think Dave's been
transmitted
drinking.
by eating bats.
Is that whiskey in that glass, Dave?
It's been 3 days.
Is that why? That's a background behind the curtain sort of story, which we'll not talk about, unless Dave wants to. But we're not making a big deal out of it. Yeah, no, it boils down to education, man. It really does boil down to education.
Anyway, no, go back to... I'm really sorry. I want to put it back to the key point here. If population-wise, we deal with land use, there is no reason we can't support 100 times the population we've got now.
Yeah, do you know how difficult that would be to implement, though? That's the point I'm trying to make.
It requires political will. But you think that's going to be more difficult? You think that's going to be less or more difficult than trying to either temporarily sterilize people or equivalent?
Well, I think it would be easier to convince the population when it gets to a certain point, because of the way the system is set up at the minute. It will go badly when overpopulation goes wrong. Now, I understand that you are correct in what you're saying. We can use land better. We can send the world and food and use all that better. Yes. But the way the system is based on a certain thing, and the way it is going, if overpopulation happens, it would be easier to say to people, because they can see the effects. Now, they'll not take capitalism, this, that, and the other, and the way the world is into consideration. What they'll take into consideration is the fact that...
How can they see the effects? I know it sounds stupid.
With overpopulation. The general effects.
Overpopulation is only happening in places...
And don't you think by that point, not to go down the conspiracy route, but don't you think that at that point governments would just take it out of our hands and put something in the water or spray us with something?
No, I don't think
they won't, because of what you can have seen with China now, right? Population means power.
Right, well, can I also say this to you, Dave?
We're dying out.
Most people want their internet. Most people want their amenities. Most people want this, that, and the other. So most people tend to congregate in cities. So when I say overpopulation, they're going to see the effects of overpopulation in the city. Lack of being able to do this, that, and the other. Even though there's so much land out there, the people don't want to go live in the country. People aren't weird like you that have to fucking set their internet up on their phone for 1080p because there's no internet out there. Most people will go, there's no internet? I ain't moving there. That's the problem. So I understand what you're saying about the better land use and spreading the people out. But most people...
You're still going to have a city. I'd live in a city. You still have a city that's big enough to support people. That's not the problem. Most of the people we're talking about here are not... population growth is a problem in the third world, in the developing countries. Our populations are on the decline.
I definitely agree with you in that. In Asia and China and stuff, I've seen that. If the young people don't start having sex, then China and Japan... Is it China or Japan? I'm not trying to be racially cultural and break them up or whatever, but I think...
Japan's not having sex at all.
Yes, not having sex at all.
Got a massive sex problem.
Yeah. Nobody horny in Japan.
Lots of horny people. They just want to watch schoolgirls.
Yeah, anime, and the new robots and.
No, schoolgirls. Literally, they have clubs. You go watch the schoolgirl dance.
I know. Has anyone watched the original series of Dragon Ball? Have you watched it, Dave?
Any series of Dragon Ball.
No. You go watch the first series of Dragon Ball. Goku actually walks up to an old lady, lifts her skirts, slaps her, and goes, "Where is your thing? Where is your thing?" Who's
I'll be
echoing?
50 soon, and I need to go watch Dragon Ball.
All of us right now.
Yeah. All of us right now. Who's echoing?
No, not going to happen.
Echo?
Not going to happen. I have.
Rory, it's probably Rory. Echo only appeared as Rory appeared.
But Rory's now muted.
And now I've muted Bill.
Oh,
It's not Bill.
I've now muted Peter.
Is it Peter?
It's Peter.
It's Peter.
It's Peter. Welcome back, everybody else.
Sorry. I got up and got some coffee and didn't want to miss anything, so I put my speakers back on, then put my headphones in and wasn't aware that my speakers were still on.
Oh no, that's cool. It works. Sammy, you still there? No. Clearly not. That was perfect timing. Rory, thanks for jumping in. Hi, Rory. How's yourself?
Hello, I'm well. Dave, thank you for addressing my question earlier. It's quite an interesting one because that bill was in Alabama was brought up in response to them trying to stop an abortion bill going through. So basically, this woman said, right, well look, if you're going to allow abortions to go through, then we have to stop males breeding more than 3 children or over 50. That's what it was all about.
The point is, we are taking away women's rights to their own body, there's no reason not to take away men's rights to their own body too.
Yeah.
Well, I know. I mean, I was completely against it, as you might imagine. But
yeah, ask me in 10 years.
Right. But I thought it was very.
Well, I'll tell you now, straight from my point of view, right? Just to interrupt, and we'll be rounding up now soon enough. So if anyone's got any questions, or if Grateful for Jesus wants to come in for 5 minutes and do a wee bit, if anyone wants to get their bit in, I have one daughter. I want to try for a son. If I end up with another daughter, I'll probably try again for a son. But when I hit 3, I think when the kids outnumber the parents, not for overpopulation, just for fucking trying to keep control of it. And 2 parents, 3 kids, you're going to get a dog and train one of them to fucking chase after it. It gets hard. It gets difficult. Dave has some face on him. And that's all you are, Dave, is that face. So we can't even focus on your shoulders, your hand motions or nothing. We've just got...
there.
Oh, there's your hands. There's your hands. What were you thinking?
Oh, I'm thinking about Grateful Jesus. He's annoying me.
Nonsense. Yeah. Like, really?
Frustrating me.
Good.
Right. Yeah.
Good. Hashtag blame MathPig. It's all my fault. Oh no, where's the scrolling? There is a scroller.
I can do one of them. Wait there. I can keep that. I quite like that idea. Nope, not that. Oh, I've broken everything.
Ah, you're too slow, man. I've already added.
Let me get that.
Oh yes, we've got the critical quiz. When is the critical quiz? Are we doing a critical quiz?
I don't know. This purple thing's at the weekend. I'll be definitely doing something in the next couple of days to try it.
Did you fill in a slot for the purple thing?
No, not yet.
No, I tried. I offered 1 a.m. I offered from midnight to 2 a.m. to fill in an hour slot, but no, they can't do it. I can't do it during the day because I'm spending time with the girls. Did you see the picture, Dave, of me throwing the daughter up in the air? Isn't that just a cracking shot?
No, where was that?
Oh, did you not see it?
Oh, apparently being told it was in the Discord.
Yeah, I'll DM it to you right now because I've like added it to my favorites. It is definitely one of my favoriteest photos that I've ever taken. I don't know, anyone out there, you don't have kids, you do have kids, you'll never understand until you have them and only if you want them. But yeah, check that, Dave. Isn't that class?
She's flying.
She's flying. Right, well, we've had no tags, we've had no questions. Oh, no.
We've had 6 billion questions.
Yes, man, I can't sign in. Now I'm looking at the tag chat.
You see, MathPig, this avatar, we were discussing it the other day.
Yes.
And I'll just read something about it from...
really quickly, because that's off topic.
Yep. No, I know, yep. It's the Humber
pig, right?
Pig, yeah. Lightly
pig,
armoured truck used by the British Army from 1950s until the early 1990s. The Pig saw service with the Royal Ulster Constabulary from late 1958 until early 1970. Became particularly well known for its presence on the streets of Northern Ireland during the worst of the Troubles. There we go.
Oh, I've seen it.
My dad was sat in the back of one of those when he got hit in the head with a glass bottle full of grit, like concrete. Someone had filled a bottle of grit and concrete and threw it through the slot, and it hit him in the head and fractured his skull.
Were you over there, Bill?
Northern Ireland is mad. Right,
I was, but only as a child. My dad's been there more times than you're legally allowed to, but I'm not allowed to talk about it.
We're not making a big deal out of it. Right, anyway, thanks everybody for turning up. Grateful for Jesus, grateful to Jesus. My email, my Twitter, everything. Peter's is there as well. Peter platforms people like yourself. Too many P's.
I just emailed him and he confirmed that he got the email. So
good.
We have an actual conversation with the actual facts. Grateful to Jesus.
Yes, let's have the conversation. Let's have the conversation. So on that note, we will thank everybody for turning up. Sammy, as always, Rory, Bill, and again, even though he's not here, Lawrence, thank you very much for coming in and hanging out. It really was good fun.
Catch you guys later.
And we shall see everybody later.